Okay, a couple of things. Why am I using the old gear? Well, the microphone doesn't pick up the fan because, man, I just can't stop sweating. So pardon the lag in the video. You won't see my face for long. Here's another secret that you might not have known. Many YouTubers will record several episodes in a day or throughout the week, and if they're doing more than one episode in a day, they'll usually change their shirt. I'm not that guy. Anyway, so we're gonna have some fun today because you all remember the Hapgood, right? The OG. I think we did this year one, and it is the granddaddy. Well, this and the Nasser 5 pounder are the granddaddies, grandmommies of American English language service books for the Orthodox Church. From a time when there was only one jurisdiction in America, and it wasn't Greek. This, of course, is still in use by the Antiochian Archdiocese because why not? Now, of course, in 1971, they went ahead and published this, which is pretty much, it's a service book. It says service book. It's a pew service book, according to some sources on the website. You'll find this in a lot of Antiochian churches. It's like Hapgood Light. But we're going to get into it, and we're going to go top down right after the intro. I'm not stuck in here with you. You're stuck in here with me. All right, welcome back, everybody, to Orthodox Review, the most uneducated educational program here on the internet today. I am your host, the guy with 1.5 thumbs, and I'm so very happy that you could join me today because I love books. Now, what have I told you about smoking? At any rate, so here we are. First and foremost, as always, my Patreon. More coffee. To my Patreon subscribers, my channel members, those of you that drop little bips and bobbles in the tip bucket over there on PayPal, thank you. I'm eternally grateful for you helping me stay alive and on the internet and keeping me fed. Thank you all. That out of the way, make sure to check the links below. Stick around to the end of the program because you never know what you're going to find. You are sure to be entertained. Are you not entertained? So we're going to talk about the Antiochian service book, which I'm going to warn you right now. I'm going to put the link below because eventually it will be back. It's currently out of print, but the Antiochian Archdiocese has said that they're printing more. It's just a matter of time. Now, there is a story behind this one with me because like so many of the prayer books that I covered kind of in the first year or so of the program, I had started a collection when I first became Orthodox. And then when I went off to the monastery to try to be a monk, I gave like everything away. So this was one of the books that I had given away. And so when I'd gotten around to thinking, oh, I need the service book again, I was like, oh man, it's out of print. And so while I was at the monastery this past week, I remembered that not only is there a copy in the library, there's a copy in the guest house right there in the prayer corner. And I was like, oh man, it's so cool. Maybe I should just record the episode here. And I was like, I didn't come here to work. But honestly, I wanted to be there and be part of the services and not work. Anyway, so I get home and I need to thank David DeYoung from Legacy Icons, as always, because I was talking to him before I left and shameful what I did. But I was like, hey man, could you toss me a couple bucks for the monastery? He said, yeah, man, I got you. And he did. And so when I got back from the monastery, I had just enough money left to get a used copy, which was only like $20, and they're out there. You can find them; they're cheap anyway. But anyway, so yeah, I'm very happy to have this again. It's a lovely little book. It's got all sorts of cool services in there that you would usually find in the small book of needs, and we'll get into that in a minute. So, like I said in the introduction, oh, by the way, Golden Mouth Coffee. Taste and see that the roast is good. All right, dig it, baby. As if I need another cup. Anyway, so what it is really, and I love the old Antiochian cross. the new cross on the cover, a little red, is beautiful and all, but I gotta think for the old one. Anyway, so, and you'll notice that all the older books, they all have the same cross on the cover. All the newer books have the new cross on the cover. That's neither here nor there. So originally we had the Hapgood in the 1920s. Now this book, as just a refresher, was signed off on by Saint Tikhon of Moscow, okay? And his original pastoral letter is still in here because it's a facsimile copy. But my heavenly patron, St. Raphael of Brooklyn, who established, I can't remember how many parishes and cathedrals from Canada down to the Yucatan Peninsula, but a lot of them, okay? And this was the book, okay, that he spread around because it was decided very early on that the American continent, the North American continent, being an English-speaking continent, services should be in English. This was the Russian church saying this. This was Saint Tikhon saying this. This is Saint Raphael agreeing with this. And so that's what gave us the Hapgood, the OG, the goat. And so years roll on. Other patriarchates decide to start muscling in. Russia pulls back into their shell and starts backpedaling on language, and they're using the Church Slavonic, and the Greeks are doing the Greek thing. And even though the Antiochians, in some places, did Arabic, simply because they were mostly Arabic speakers, they were really the first to continue to push English because they are now known as the Swiss Army knife of American Orthodoxy, because they adapt to whatever culture they're trying to embrace, the culture of the people. And so by the time the 70s rolled around, it was time for a service book for the faithful that wasn't a chonker like the Hapgood, and was a little more manageable, a little more well organized, and didn't have any of the superfluous stuff in there that maybe the faithful attendees of the services could use to follow along and also use at home. And so what we have here in this service book is an amalgamation of two things. So first and foremost, you have the personal prayers that you would find in little red, okay? Morning, evening, the various prayers, preparation for communion. It doesn't have any of the catechetical information, which is fine. It's okay. And then what you have beyond that is the text for all the regular services of the church, that being Vespers, Orthros, the Divine Liturgies, both of St. John Chrysostom, St. Basil the Great, the Pre-Sanctified, and then you have a ton of occasional services, blessings, that sort of thing. And so we're going to go top down, all right? So I can show you this book because it's really well constructed. I've never had a book from the Antiochian Archdiocese that wasn't. So let's go old school, top down. Okie dokie then. So here it is. Here's Nubby. Hey, Nubby. All right, so like I said, 1971, Antiochian Archdiocese. This is 238 pages long, and not a page has gone to waste. This is the 11th printing from 2002. The copy at the monastery, and I think I took notes on it when I was. I think it was from 2000. No, I think it was the 7th printing from 1994. Anyway, so this is the 11th printing, 2002. And the Antiochian Archdiocese, they do all their own printing. Okay, they don't bother with well, they don't have any monasteries, but they don't have any like separate publishing arm. They just do their own printing, and so that's that. Now there's nothing special going on in here. It's just okay. You have your cover page, and then boom, right into the table of contents, which is pretty succinct. Like the Hapgood table of contents, because of the nature of the book, is done alphabetically. So, yeah, that's different. But of course, in the Hapgood, you'll see there's just tons and tons and tons of stuff because this book was intended, in the early 20th century to be run around with by everyone, clergy and laity. and all that. So it has a little bit of everything in it. But when it came to the service book for the church, for regular use by regular folks like you and I, you and me, that's proper English. Proper English. So you can see here, okay, morning prayer, evening prayer, prayers at tables, various occasions, sick people, recovery for the dead. And then on entering and leaving the church, go to page 20. And every time this appears in a prayer book, I mention that these are the same prayers that the bishop, the priest, the deacons pray when they are entering, the holy places in the church. But these are good prayers to have on hand and get in the use of using and maybe memorizing. I try again and again and again and again. And I'll be honest with you, I don't like sticking out at church. So my pride keeps me from doing that, but I need to work on it. Anyway, and then a couple extra prayers, and then we're into the services. Now, the translation of the Psalms used here is not quite the RSV. It's Revised Liturgical English. So this is the kind of, it's a similar translation to what the OCA was using up until recently in their service books. Of course, the OCA didn't exist until 1979. So it's thee and thou. But I checked it against every other translation of the Psalms I have laying around, which includes at least half a dozen different Bible translations, and nothing quite fit the bill. So yeah, it's a form of revised liturgical English. It's beautiful. It reads well, and so it doesn't have the movable bits, for the Stachira or Traparia, Katakia, that sort of thing. It also doesn't have anything for weekdays. Oh yeah, and when I got it, I was like, there was a page open, kind of like, I always look at a book to see what pages are used the most, and this didn't really seem to get used, but this is great. I don't know if this is like some sort of, I think this is like goat skin. I'm not joking. But anyway, and it's got, Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and to those in the tombs, bestowing life. And man, that is so cool. And this is hand done. This is not like something that was printed. So I don't know, but it's freaking beautiful. I'm going to leave it in there. Let's go back to the table of contents real quick. So we have the Vespers, Orthros, Kyrian, Vesting, Prothesis, Divine Liturgies. So that's those are all the services for the priests. So like, again, they can use this instead of a larger liturgicon or anything if they need to. Really good for, services on the go. And then we have some things that you don't usually find in just like your run-of-the-mill service books. Like especially like, the Russian church, the OCA, the Greek church, they all have separate little books for these things. Not the Antiochians, man. They just want to, cram it all in there. So you really have a lot of the services for every day of the year. So the sacrament for holy baptism and holy chrismation, it's all right in here. So that's pretty cool. And honestly, like if other jurisdictions had books like this, it'd be a great gift to give to someone when they're coming into the church, because it's nice to have like an expanded prayer book, but like let's say you're being received into the church, you get one of these and you follow along with the service in this book, and then it's yours. I think that would be pretty cool. So baptisms, tonsures, okay, marriage, the funeral, the order for confession, and this is the longer order that you would find in the Hapgood and also in the Small Book of Needs, that sort of stuff. I'm a big fan. Prayers before and after communion for the sick. And what's really cool is like, okay, you have the blessings for like feast days, when you're breaking a fast or whatever. But then you have some pretty cool stuff that you don't see every day, like the blessing for the cornerstone of a church. The consecration of a church, and that's the short form. And then you have some short forms for ordinations. For those of you that don't know, ordinations take place during the Divine Liturgy. And so there are certain points in the service when each ordination happens. And so, like here, for the priest, after the cherubic hymn has been finished, the candidate is led by a deacon or a priest in the same manner and after the same exclamations of command, command, as in the ordination of a deacon, etc. So, yeah, and right up into an archpriest and an archimandrite. Now, this, of course, you could tell by the typeset was pasted in there after the fact, which I don't know why they put that in there because there ain't no monks here. But anyway, so it's a really like sturdy, well-made book. Obviously, it's sewn. But oh wow, thy sound has gone out to all the earth, for it hath received thy word. Thereby thou didst divinely teach the faith, in the nature of existence, in order of the habits of men. O thou of royal priesthood, venerable Father Basil, beseech Christ our God to grant us great mercy. Different translation than I'm used to, but that is the Troparion to St. Basil. Okay, if that's not, that's a sign. I don't know what you call that. That's a sign. Anyway, so darling little book, hard. It's just built like a battle tank, man. I mean, look at that binding. That binding's going nowhere. I mean, this book is 21 years old, doing just fine. Anyway, okay, that's it. We're done. Not much to add. Just a cool book. I can't wait till they're back in print so you guys can go out and get some. But anyway, check the links below. Oh, you know what? I did say at the beginning of the video that sometimes cool things happen at the end. So here's what I'm going to do. Got an email that said that the St. Tikhon Psalter is finally going to print. They're just putting the finishing touches on the typeset. So that means we can finally start talking about this. So for you that stayed to the end, that's there's your surprise. All right, kids, I'm dying over here. Thanks again. We'll see you in the next one. Don't forget. How dare I forget Spooky Cat? On behalf of Spooky Cat and myself, thank you. I love you. And don't forget to go to church, say your prayers, and remember God. God bless. Monsieur, I can click.